then we
portrayed out there in the world and by libertarian
if the flag of libertarianism were a diamond with an arrow up, then we would start winning. But unfortunately, libertarianism right now is controlled by people who are romantics. Now, my website, davidbrin.com, I discuss Tolkien and Star Wars and how this is the real split in our civilization right now. Not left and right. I wish I could torch that whole left-right metaphor, even though I used it earlier.
Well, yeah, you know, if you look at everything's askew right now. The Republicans now are growing social spending in the U.S. worse than the Democrats, about 3 times the rate that Bill Clinton did. So now the Republicans are farther left than the Democrats are on economic issues. The Democrats are moving farther to the right than the Republicans are on a lot of social issues, so they're still holding on a few. So the public is very confused.
They're very confused
because
because
listen to talk radio, and the Republicans, they're somehow not growing. They're somehow cutting your taxes and reducing the size of government, when the truth is the opposite.
It's not, because there's a big distinction between enterprise capitalism, which is measured by the creation of small businesses.
Right.
I mean, I'm starting a small business. I have a small software company, an invention. I filed 114 claims for a new internet way that people can chat online. Completely new approach. It's hard to get venture capitalism right now because this isn't the 90s. The point is that small business creation is the fundamental sign of enterprise capitalism. Then there is aristocratism. The Cato Institute, unfortunately, our Cato Institute, never met an aristocrat whose interests they wouldn't defend. And it's unfortunate because we have to recognize first, for 6,000 years, in 99.9% of human cultures and centuries, the great enemies of markets and enterprise capitalism were entrenched aristocracies. And if we libertarians, having grown up in this weird society of ours, benefiting from many of these state things, which generating more libertarians than any civilization that ever existed, if we in our ingratitude don't realize that the great enemy has always been people who have power and people who want to abuse that power. I often ask audiences, do you think the American people are subjected to propaganda? Everybody says yes, because we're all patronizing. We all like to think, I am the guy in the know. Everybody else is sheep. That's how I feel. It's natural, it's human. People raise their hands and they say, buy stuff is propaganda, religion, whatever. They never mention what they believe, because nobody likes to believe that your own beliefs were propagandized. The fact is, you cannot name a popular film in the last 30 years that you've enjoyed in which the hero doesn't bond with the audience in the first 5 minutes by sticking it to an authority figure. Suspicion of authority and individual eccentricity are the endearing traits of a movie hero. And intolerance is the unendearing trait of the villain. This is the most relentless propaganda campaign the world has ever seen, and we libertarians have got to recognize, A, that the entire propaganda system of this culture is on our side. We're going to win. And B, we have to admit that everybody else believes the same thing. Democrats are anti-authority. They're worried about accumulations of too much authority by aristocrats and faceless corporations and religious fanatics. Republicans, most Republicans, are libertarian-minded. They're afraid of undue accumulations of authority by faceless government bureaucrats. The triumvirate of small interest groups that's controlling the GOP right now does not represent the vast majority of GOP voters. The apocalypse, the neoconservative Platonist fanatics who are sending us on adventures like Alcibiades sending the Athenian fleet to Syracuse, and the 5,000 frat brothers. These are a thin veneer, a triumvirate. And what the Libertarian Party needs to do is inform these libertarian-leaning Republicans that we are the people who actually want free enterprise to work. When we fear authority, we look at bureaucrats. But we can understand why Democrats are worried about faceless corporations and aristocrats. We'll guard your back. You guard ours. Okay? But give us a chance to guard your back. Give us the power to tweak the insurance companies so they can provide alternative solutions to dangers in the workplace. Don't just leave it all to OSHA, because government solutions calcify. The left hand is only good at acute problem solving. When its institutions sit, they get heavy, they get overbearing. It's our job as libertarians to say, all right, now our drug cabinets in our houses are somewhat safe because of this overbearing solution. Now we're going to wean the solution away. It's a completely different approach than saying, end the drug war right now. Give back all the income tax right now. Has that worked in 34 years?
Well, the getting people just to see the vision is one thing, but it's in between that is understanding how do we get from here to there, and that's the thing people don't see. That's the thing that people do not see, is how are we going to go from no force, no government regulation. How do we get there from where we are now when we have a lot?
And people think, a lot of libertarians think, that the amount of government regulation we have today is a sign that we've fallen from a state of grace, that we're in freedom hell. But let me tell you a little allegory. I was taking flying lessons, free enterprise flying lessons. I was doing the ground school, and everybody in the class, we got to how the terminal control areas. This is on my website. My speech to the Libertarian Party was transcribed, and I discussed this. And they saw how complicated the terminal control areas are around an airport. Upside down wedding cakes with holes cut out, and grumbling about the amount of regulation, because the rule books for regulating private flying in America are far thicker than they are in Europe. Mm-hmm. And so this European was there saying, all we have to do in Europe is simply report our vectors all the time. And that's it, that's the rule. Report, get permission, I'm going to go this way, may I go that way? And suddenly it occurred to me, well, outside of those TCAs, we never have to report in here in America. Why are the rule books so thick for flying in America? And it struck me like a blow. These rule books were designed by retired private pilots who sat on the committees and said, we don't have to regulate here, there's no safety concern. Carve it out.
Well, that's very wonderful. Thank you for coming out. That was a great explanation, and I hope that more libertarians will hear it, and I'll start taking a different approach. And if any of you out there liked what he had to say about libertarianism and like this approach, go to www.lp.org and start making your mark on the Libertarian Party, or you can give us a call at 1-800-ELECT-US. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Don't give up.